The Mariners are looking to go from AL West champion to World Series winner in 2026, and the NL Central has some pieces that can help them take that next step. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. You're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. My name is Ty Gonzalez, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Colby Patnode. We're two lifelong Mariners fans who've been covering the team for over half a decade, and today we're going to continue our divisional trade preview series with a look at the NL Central. That means we're going to comb through the Brewers, Cardinals, Reds, Cubs, and Pirates rosters for the best trade fits for the Mariners this winter. But before we do, I want to shout out our title sponsor today, FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. So let's start here with the best regular season team in the entire National League, the Milwaukee Brewers. They won the Central this past year and then got eliminated by the Los Angeles Dodgers and 4 in the NLCS. And this is a team that, even though they just got that far into the postseason, they're always kind of willing to trade from their major league roster, no matter what their situation is. They're kind of like the Guardians and the Rays in that sense. So there's some possibilities here. Who stands out to you the most on this roster, Colby? Outside of Jake Bauers, of course.
Yes, the Go-Go Bauers Rangers will be a thing before the end of his career. But yeah, I mean, really, there's one name. It's Freddy Peralta is the guy who jumps out here. 1 year of club control left. He's got an $8 million option that the Brewers have already activated. So you only get him for 1 year. And the Brewers have come out and said, like, oh, we don't want to trade Freddy Peralta. No, we're very excited about our pitching and all that, blah, blah, blah. It's all BS. It's all BS. Jeff Passan's already stated that if Woodruff was going to accept his qualifying offer, which he did already, by the way, then the odds that the Brewers would trade Peralta would go up significantly, because the Brewers can't really afford to spend $30 million on 2 of their pitchers. Like, that's just not how it works. Like, Peralta is not going to be a Brewer after this year, so they need to trade him now. And it didn't make any sense for them to trade Corbin Burns when they did, but they did it anyways. And that's where they are with Peralta. Peralta's a good starter. He's, number 2, really strong. Number 3, misses a ton of bats. He is going to be a very valuable piece, and he fits the Mariners very well, especially if they want to trade Luis Castillo. Peralta fits extremely well because he's only going to make $8 million. And right now he's better than Luis Castillo. So you'd actually end up upgrading at that spot. So he's the guy. It's a short-term thing. Yeah, it's going to cost you a couple, good prospects. It'll cost you less than Skubal, but it won't be cheap by any stretch of the imagination. But honestly, that might be a better comp for the Woodruff thing than Skubal, which a lot of people, or Burns thing than Skubal, which a lot of people have brought up when they talk about Tarek Skubal. So Peralta's the guy here. He's not the only guy, but like in terms of, he's probably going to get traded. He would help the Mariners tremendously, and he's vastly underpaid for what he does, what value he brings. Those are all things the Mariners and pretty much 29 other teams in baseball are going to be interested in. But the Mariners are just one of the few teams that it would be very difficult to outbid if you were trying to snag Freddy Peralta. So Freddy Peralta's the guy, obviously.
Yeah,
but there are some others.
Yeah, to me, the two that stand out here are Trevor McGill and Abner Uribe. The Mariners apparently want to add another high leverage arm to their bullpen. Ryan Divish has wrote that, they'd be looking at potentially guys that are kind of cut from the same cloth as like Yohan Duran. So that would be Uribe and McGill here, who both throw gas. Uribe is more in line with what the Mariners typically look for from their high leverage arms. He's sinker, slider guy, but he would probably be more expensive than McGill as well. So I'd be fine with either. I think both guys are electric and would significantly upgrade this bullpen. So I'd keep an eye on either of those guys. And again, the Brewers, even though that they're going to look to compete in 2026 and try to capitalize on the momentum that they had in 2025, they've always been open to trading guys off of their major league roster, especially relievers. I mean, Josh Hader.
Now, almost always trade a guy in the last year of his deal rather than keep him and get the draft pick. They're very much the Tampa Bay Rays of the National League. Yeah, it's also worth Uribe has 4 years of club control left.
Yep.
McGill has 2.
Yep.
So Uribe would be significantly more expensive, I would think.
Yes, very much so.
You're not like an Edwin Diaz type of contract offer that you'd have to put out there for Uribe. So he would be incredibly expensive, but might be worth it. Another name I throw out of that out of that bullpen that's pretty interesting, Nick Mears. He is also ARB too, so you would get him for 2 more years. Big swing and miss stuff there. He's not quite Duran, so I mean he's not. I mean, there's only like one Duran, but like he is kind of in that next tier. He is, I don't know, probably roughly the same tier as Matt Brash. So I mean, I think maybe just the tier below that, maybe, but he's also another really solid bullpen arm. So there's a lot of pitching for Milwaukee. I know some people really like Bryce Terang. The Brewers aren't going to trade him. He's still too cheap for the Brewers to consider that. Same with Sal Frelick. I really don't see much on the offensive side of the ball here that makes sense for Seattle, but there's a lot of arms that would make sense.
Yeah, couple lefties, Aaron Ashby, Jared Koenig. We know that the Mariners are also looking for left-handed help in the bullpen. DL Hall, maybe even.
Maybe.
So yeah, there's some options here in the bullpen for sure. And then if they trade Luis, then Freddy Peralta makes a lot of sense, especially if you're looking for someone especially if you're looking for someone that's not going to eat all of the savings that you make on a Castillo deal, potentially make on a Castillo deal. All right, let's turn our attention here to the St. Louis Cardinals, who we've talked quite a bit about already this offseason. Obviously, Brendan Donovan was in our offseason plan yesterday, so you guys know what we think that would cost. We had Michael Arroyo, Durangelo Sanja, and a comp round B pick to St. Louis for Brendan Donovan and Riley O'Brien in the offseason plan. But there's some other guys here that we've talked about. Especially some guys in the bullpen, JoJo Romero, Matt Swanson. I really like Sonny Gray. I know Jerry DiPoto loves Sonny Gray, but that just, I don't see how that makes sense with all the money that he's making, even if they do trade Luis Castillo. Anyone else? Definitely not Nolan Arenado.
No.
I'll say that real quick.
No. Hard pass.
Yeah.
Unless he's literally free. I mean, both from a monetary standpoint and like a prospect standpoint, not interested. I mean, Brendan Donovan's obviously the big guy here. Get him for 2 years. We talked about Donovan yesterday. No need to dive any deeper into him than that. Lars Nootbaar is a popular name still, even though he's a little bit overrated. He's still a solid player. And by overrated, I mean by fans. At least Mariner fans seem to really like Lars Nootbaar. But he'd be interesting. You get him for 3 years. Riley O'Brien, who we've talked about again. JoJo Romero, you get for a year. He's a rental, but he's a lefty and a really good one. So that would be a great second lefty out of that bullpen. Alec Burleson doesn't make as much sense now that you've re-signed Josh Naylor. But, you still have DH at-bats you can give, and Burleson is very much a Josh Naylor-esque type of hitter. So he would be an interesting fit in this ballpark. And then, you mentioned, Swanson. So he'd be really interesting. Both O'Brien and Swanson have 5 full years of club control, so they'll be reasonably pricey, but they also don't have the biggest track record in the world. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there. One other name I throw out there. Yes, I know Jerry has in the past really liked Sonny Gray, but he's making $10 million more than Luis Castillo this year. So like you said, I don't think that's a real option here. I'll throw the name out there just because, but Nolan Gorman, we've heard him linked to the Mariners in the past, but he has just not been a good big leaguer. But if they think he can play some third, maybe he becomes cheap enough. Maybe that's a guy that Jerry looks at and is like, oh, we'll take a shot on that, and we think we can help him. But he strikes out a lot.
Hold on. I did not know that Sonny Gray was making $35 million this year.
Mm-hmm. I think he also
said that. I was like, wait, and then I looked it up. $35 million.
Yeah, if you want to be
technical, backloaded, but still, like, Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be technical, he's making $11 million more. And I believe he has a buyout that's $5 million. So in reality, 1 year of Sonny Gray is going to cost you $40 million.
Okay, yeah.
I like Sonny Gray. Not that much. Not that much. No. So, yeah, there's some bullpen arms. Again, it's Donovan, it's Nootbaar, it's Burleson a little bit. Maybe it's Nolan Gorman. If you really think you can help him reach the ceiling that he's supposedly had the entire time, maybe you might consider that. And then it's Romero, it's Swanson, it's O'Brien. There's a couple guys in this bullpen that make some sense for the Cardinals, but yeah, it's Donovan's the big prize here. And then I think after that, I think O'Brien and Romero are the two guys that make the most sense for Seattle, specifically out of that bullpen. And then again, it's do you want to take a shot on Nootbaar? Is he going to be prohibitive in his cost? He might be, because people tend to overrate him. Do you want to take a shot on Jordan Walker, or do you want to take a shot on, Nolan Gorman? Maybe, but the price has to be pretty darn cheap on those guys, and just hard to imagine the Cardinals in a year where they're rebuilding would sell low enough on those two guys that I would be interested.
So is there anything on the Cubs, Pirates, and Reds rosters that stand out to us? We'll talk about that in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by both FanDuel and Doer. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen, and also thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. We're doing our NL Central trade preview. We just went over the rosters of the Brewers and St. Louis Cardinals for trade fits for the Mariners this winter. Now let's talk about the Chicago Cubs. We talked a lot about last winter, Colby, specifically about Nico Hoerner, who is now in the final year of his contract. Is Nico Hoerner a possibility again this winter?
I don't think so. I mean, you never say never, but Nico only has 1 year of club control left. The Cubs don't really have a logjam of infielders like we thought they did last year, because Matt Shaw is just going to play third, and Dansby's going to play short, and then that leaves Nico free to play second, unless they really like Triantos, who they added to the 40-man yesterday. There's really not much of a reason to move Nico. So he's a really good value. He's a 3-4 win player who's only making $11 million. And even if he was available, they're not going to want prospects for him, because they're trying to win the World Series next year. Well, at least they're trying to give the appearance that they're going to try and win the World Series next year, even though they're going to let Kyle Tucker walk and not even pursue him at all. So yeah, it's one of those things. I don't see it. The Luis Castillo thing that we heard last year, that seems like that's dead. I think the Cubs might still be interested in Castillo. They could certainly use some starting pitching, but you're not going to get Nico Hoerner, 1 year of him for 2 years of Castillo, without some other pieces being involved. So for me, it's really difficult to see Hoerner and Seattle, meeting up, or Chicago and Seattle matching up here on a trade cost, that would make sense. But sure, if Nico Hoerner were available, should the Mariners be interested in him? Absolutely. Absolutely, they should. He's a really good player who would greatly improve their infield defense, which was bad last year. Straight up bad. Don't tell me what the team's fielding percentage is. It's really easy to not make errors when you can't get to any ball. So you don't have range, you're not going to make a lot of errors. So Hoerner would definitely help with that. And he would, give you a real legitimate, second baseman, and Cole Young can actually take some time to figure some things out. So yeah, Hoerner would be a great addition. I just don't think he's likely to be available. Not to Seattle anyways. It just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. I feel like the Cubs more so just need to focus on building upon the roster that they have rather than subtracting from it. Mm-hmm. They're in a close enough spot. Obviously, they just made the wild card, but they're probably going to lose Kyle Tucker this winter. But they just feel like a team that can't afford to go back right now. They kind of just need to keep going forward. So yeah, I don't see a whole lot else here unless like they're willing to trade Seiya Suzuki, which maybe those rumors have been around for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So
maybe Ian Happ is the guy. Like there's certainly players that the Mariners in a vacuum would like to have. Happ, Suzuki, Hoerner, Michael Busch. Like there are a lot of those guys that of course I'd love to have those guys, but the Cubs aren't going to trade them to you. Also, the Cubs want starting pitching, which it sounds like they do, and they need to end up trading for it. They have plenty of ammo in their farm system to go out and get it without, trading from their major league roster. So, yeah, the Cubs, I don't really see much of a fit here. But, Hoerner, you should keep tabs on him just in case. And then just a couple like Jordan Wicks, if you want to try taking a shot on that as kind of a starter depth / maybe the second lefty out of the bullpen. He might make some sense. And then, if you're in the market for a backup catcher, Reese McGuire coming off of a decent year.
Yeah. McGill Amaya is another guy that they have there, but I would assume that they're just looking to have Kelly and Amaya be their catching tandem, and then McGuire would be the odd man out there. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't think there's many fits here between the Mariners and the Cubs.
There's not a clean fit here. No.
Yeah. Unless they want to revisit the Luis Castillo thing. But I think at that point, the Mariners are going, we want Nico Hoerner. And if Nico Hoerner's not involved, then we're out.
Yeah. I mean, there's not even really much in the bullpen right now that's all that interesting in Chicago. So these are two teams that they're not good fits for each other.
Yeah. No. All right. What about the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are apparently willing to spend money finally this winter? They were the greatest competitor for Josh Naylor with the Mariners before Naylor signed like 12 days after he became a free agent.
It's real easy to say we're going to spend and then throw out contracts have no shot of being accepted and be like, look, we almost got him. Like, that's right out of the Mariners playbook. Like, come on, you're not going to snow the snowman. All right, but sure, I'll believe it when I see it on the Pittsburgh side of things.
So, how much are they willing to subtract from their major league roster if they're actually looking to buy and kind of build this roster out?
Yeah, here's the problem with that. The Pirates could spend $300 million on free agents this year, and they would still be the worst team in this division by 1.5 miles. Like, it is ludicrous for them to be like, oh, no, we're just going to go get Josh Naylor, and then we're going to go get, Adolis Garcia when he's non-tendered, and look at us spend money. And it's like, cool. Congrats on your 72-win season. You absolute dumpster fire of an ownership group. So yeah, Pittsburgh, as you might expect, not a whole lot here, but some. Like, I'll throw his name on here just because we haven't talked about him in like 18 months, thankfully. Brian Reynolds, I guess.
Oh, God.
Ugh. Yeah, that's where I'm just like, should have probably traded him when he was a 6-win player, huh?
The memories come flooding back.
Probably should have pulled the trigger on that, huh, Pittsburgh? But it's okay because you've gotten so many winning seasons since you decided to keep and extend him, right?
By the way, thank God they never traded for Brian Reynolds.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yikes.
Pittsburgh saved Seattle from themselves. But yeah, I'll throw them on there. Reynolds, maybe a Joey Bart if you're looking for a backup catcher.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
then
he
it's
had a
just
good year.
yeah, and then it's just arms. Justin Lawrence, he's a pretty interesting guy still. Dennis Santana.
I'd love to take a shot on Nick Gonzalez. I've always liked him. He flashed this year and then he kind of fell off a cliff.
Yeah, I just don't know if he's honestly any better than Cole Young or Ben Williams.
Well, I don't need him to be better than Cole Young, but could he be better than Leo Rivas?
The fact that I'm not immediately saying yes is concern enough.
I mean,
but
like if it depends on obviously what it would cost, but like if he costs basically virtually nothing, like I'm down.
Sure, but that's
he's also got an option left.
Yeah, but that's any player. Oh, I can have him for free. Yeah, okay, I'm interested.
Yeah.
Unless there's like off the field stuff. But yeah. Anyways, Justin Lawrence, he's ARB1, former Rocky. He had a nice year last year when he was healthy. Dennis Santana, he's ARB3, so you only get him for a year. He is not a Duran type of addition, but he is, probably closer to Bizzardo than Munoz or Brash. So I mean, he's solid. Would be a solid addition. Oviedo if you do trade Luis, Oviedo would make some sense as kind of that starter, but he can also move into the bullpen. There's some good stuff there. And then the big name Mitch Keller. Again, if you trade Luis, Mitch Keller would make some sense. You'd save a little bit of money by acquiring Keller over Luis, not a ton. Like you'd save about $10 million, but that could make a difference here. So yeah, I mean, like you're not getting Paul Skeens, obviously. You're not. I mean, I don't know if O'Neal Cruz was even available. Would you want to trade what it would probably cost to get O'Neal Cruz? Probably not. So again, there's just not a ton here. But I would say that Lawrence and Santana out of the bullpen are really interesting. And then if you move Luis, then Oviedo or Mitch Keller are two guys that I think make a good amount of sense for you, especially pitching in Seattle.
And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, if you want to hear from me and Colby even more and help support the show, we have a Patreon. It's called Control the Zone, and on there we talk Mariners, Seahawks, all that good stuff. For more information, go to patreon.com/Control the Zone. Link in the description of this episode. So lastly, as we wrap up our NL Central trade preview, let's talk about the Cincinnati Reds, who technically made it to the playoffs. Very quick trip for them, though. Anything here that stands out to
you? Sure. I mean,
obviously Hunter Greene.
Right. And I put him on the list, but again, that is like, okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
They trade Hunter Greene, then yeah, I'm interested, but I wouldn't count on it. Yeah, but other than that, there's a few guys here that are interesting. Would Cincinnati move any of these guys? I don't know. Again, like you said, they made the playoffs technically last year. It was the quickest exit we've ever seen. Like,
and it was due to like an all-time collapse from the Mets.
Right. Like the Reds are fine. Like they could add a couple pieces this winter and be legitimate, NL Central contenders. And like, they're not a bad team. I'm not saying they're a bad team. It's just like they were very.
No, it's just they made the playoffs as an 83-win team.
They were like the participation players of this playoff round. Like it was just very clear they were going to get smoked by LA, which they did. They didn't have the talent. They look like a team that is just a 500 team who snuck into the playoffs and isn't really a playoff team. They could get there this year again, but they also don't like to spend a lot of money, like blah, blah, blah. We know why the Reds are the Reds. So whether or not any of these guys are available, I don't know, but I'll throw them out there anyways. Longtime Mariner fan target Spencer Steer had a pretty good year this year. Where are you going to play him? I don't know. He plays pretty much everywhere. He's never been very good anywhere except for this year. I think he actually had an okay defensive year. They stuck him at, I think it was first base.
Yeah, he played 122 games at first base this year.
Yeah, and he was fine. So like his first base defense. Again, he's played a lot of left. He's played some third, but you have Naylor locked in. So Steer, do you really want to try and mess around with him in the outfield again? I don't know, but
I mean, you need a DH right now.
Sure. So it'd be interesting. We heard that the Mariners went after this guy last year, Gavin Lux, who again just played some outfield, played some second. He is ARB3 this year, so you only get him for a year. He was okay last year, if memory serves. Nothing too special, but the Mariners did attempt to acquire him last year. And as we know, as we often say, Jerry loves to circle back. So maybe Gavin Lux is another guy. Kind of as a lottery ticket, if you want to take a shot on this, Edwin Encarnacion Strand might be interesting. Now that's taking a shot. That's a flyer on a talented guy who hasn't quite hit with any regularity in the big leagues. Fun little note on Encarnacion Strand: Jerry DiPoto and Scott Hunter drafted him way back when. He did not sign with them, obviously, but they did draft him. So there is some like lingering, like, oh, we like this guy out there. So maybe TJ Friedel would be a fun one. He's underrated. He's not spectacular. He's not an all-star, but he's a good player. So I'd rather have him, for example, than Lars Nootbaar. And I think that statement would make a lot of people upset for some reason. So Friedel would be an interesting guy. Again, ARB1, so I kind of doubt he's available, but I doubt most of these guys are available, to be honest. And then from the pitching side of things, Brady Singer. Again, if you trade Luis, Brady Singer making $11 million. He's just kind of a really solid, low end 3, high end 4, former first round pick. Lots of upside there. And he had a pretty good year in Cincinnati, which is somewhat surprising. And then out of the bullpen, Graham Ashcraft would be pretty interesting as well.
Sure.
So there's actually some pieces on Cincinnati. It's just, are they going to be willing to trade any of them after they got a taste of the postseason and now they feel like, oh, well, with another year of development, we make a couple smart moves in free agency and in the trade market, we might win, 88, 89, 90 games, maybe win this division next year, because we know Pittsburgh's not going to be very good. We're pretty sure the Cardinals aren't going to be good again. Like the Cubs are losing Kyle Tucker. The Brewers are probably losing Freddy Peralta, and they're kind of fluky anyways. Like the Brewers are a team that could win 78 games next year. So like maybe we can win this division. So I don't know how many of these guys are going to be available, but in terms of like the raw number of players that make sense from this division, it really is Cincinnati and St. Louis that have the most players that would interest the Mariners. Milwaukee probably has the most like power, like the most impact from what you might be able to get from them. But yeah, Cincinnati is right up there. And as for their trade fit with Seattle, it's not great, but it's not nothing. So I'd be interested to see like if Friedel was available, if Brady Singer is available after I trade Luis, I would be very interested to have those conversations about those guys. Everybody else is just kind of like, hey, are you moving him? No? Okay. Like move on.
Right.
But Cincinnati's an interesting team.
That is going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. For Colby, Patnode, I'm Dane Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at @LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. We're also on Blue Sky. You can follow me at TDG, Colby at MLB Colby, and the show at Locked On Mariners. You can also find us on Instagram at Locked On Mariners. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.